Hey, it's Tony here with another game of Mechabellum. This is game 5 from the weekend tournament that just happened yesterday. And in game 5, I will be playing a giant specialist with mustangs and crawlers, and my opponent will be a speed specialist with fangs and sledgehammers, and he just got himself some more crawlers. Alright, so with round 1, I decided to go with almost all in on one side because I knew that my crawlers and mustangs are simply no match for his tanks. I was hoping to pick the side that the tanks aren't going to be, or if he chooses to play a more conservative, even spread, so then I will have my units attacking half of his army. Unfortunately for me, that the side I picked happens to be the side that he picked, so now we're going to clash very quickly, and I don't believe my mustangs will win out on this one unless my crawlers keep the tanks busy enough for my mustangs to finish them. But in this case, I think it's probably a very tough thing to do. So let's just watch it happen. My left side crawler is actually doing pretty well as it's making its way towards the tower. And if we can get a tower debuff before it kills too many of my mustangs, I might be able to take out a few more tanks. But by the looks of it, I think it's just a little too low on the firepower. Yeah. So once the tower returns, then we won't have any tanks left. I do have a few crawlers, so I might be able to steal the win here. There it is. Just barely. So that was just pure luck because of the crawlers got the towers. Alright, round 2. I decided to go with mass-produced fortress. So here's the idea of mass-produced fortress. Anything that's mass-produced gets reduced stats, right? So in terms of fortress, you get reduced health, you get reduced attack, and if you read the description, it's actually 30% reduction of health and attack. But the flip side of this is you get it for cheaper, right? So $100 less. So that's what about a quarter cheaper. So now these fortresses cost 300 instead of 400 as they normally do. What the mass-produced units, what isn't affecting the mass-produced units are the technology. So for example, if you have your shield that goes for 40,000 shields per level, it will remain 40,000 shields even if you go mass produced. Same goes with any sort of additional damage like the rocket punch, right? The damage remains the same. The anti-air barrage, all right, that remains the same. So the idea behind going mass produced fortress is that I saw a lot of units very close to the center, and I wanted to have a line of fortresses with punch so that as they're getting whittled down, it would deal that additional splash damage to the units that's up front. Right. So in this turn, I chose the fortress. I actually was able to summon one fairly quickly, being the giant specialist. And my opponent just kept adding more units to the side. So he added another squad of tanks as well as crawlers, which I think is a good call, right? He's trying to completely surround me, knowing that at least from round 1, I have not enough firepower to even deal with the 2 squads of tanks. But I think he will be a little surprised to see the fortress starting on turn 2. Alright, the left side crawlers are still doing excellent. It's heading towards the tower. I think I might get the tower before the fortress is brought down. And this fortress alone is just going to clean up every single tank there is, with the help of crawlers and some mustangs, of course. Okay, and that is round 2, and now going to round 3. A lot of interesting units here. I think the Wraith is probably the best. Right now, my opponent has 0, with the exception of those fans, but those fans don't really do anything to the Wraith. Has no real anti-air, and I wanted to throw another problem at him because at first he's going to have to deal with my fortress. Right, that fortress is going to stay there. I probably have the money to add a few more fortresses, and now he will have to deal with the air problem. If I were him, I would go with the snipers or the marksman, because it would deal with both problems fairly reliably. In this case, he actually went for the Wraith as well. So he said, you know what, the Fortress maybe will solve itself. Uh, for me, I just want to make sure that I don't die to the Wraith War up in the sky. And he chose Wraith. But what he didn't choose is Degen Beam, which reduces their attack by 30% and also makes them take additional 30% damage. So it's a very powerful spell. He did try to answer the Fortress with a Scorpion, which I think is decent. But from a cost point of view, even at the same cost, I think my Fortress beats Scorpion on one-on-one battle. So right now I'm taking a slight economic advantage having mass-produced Fortresses. The Wraith is doing fine. The Wraith is actually winning the battle up front with the Degen Beam. The Scorpion isn't doing nearly as much damage because of the Degen Beam as well, so it will be taken by my Fortress. The squad of tanks on the side are still being a nuisance. I think I'll have to deal with that next turn. Okay. So let's get rid of the tanks. And we got a bunch of hit points coming around to my guy. Alright. Nothing's really interesting. Mustang production might be interesting, but at this point I really just want to finish my front line. I do have 2 squads of Mustang that are doing fairly well. I put Replicate on my crawlers so that when I'm fighting them one-on-one, especially on the side, my crawlers will win out and with extra units in the end. The Mustangs here, they're a little cornered, and that's okay. Once I put shield on the fortresses, these tanks won't be able to hit the Mustangs. My opponent decided to go with a Overlord. I think the Overlord is a good choice, considering right now the only real capable anti-air is my Wraith, and the Wraith will die very quickly to the Overlord, as you can see right here. The Mustangs are okay with anti-air at this level, so I got a level 2 Mustang. But it is engaging the level 2 Wraith, so it will take a bit of time. And then after that, it will take even longer to bring down the Overlord. For now, I think my advantage is just 2 fortresses with shields. They have a considerable amount of health between them. And I'm hoping this will tank enough damage so that my anti-air, or what little I have of anti-air, will be able to finish his air units. Luckily, my replicate crawlers are actually doing a phenomenal job. Just look at how many crawlers there are just encroaching onto his position. And that gives the Mustangs the room it needs to bring down both large air units before it kills us. Alright, that is round 4. Now, one thing to note that he put a launcher overload tech on the Overlord. And this is a quite dangerous technology because with the Overlord being so close to the front, that means it can engage almost immediately. Launcher overload halves the attack interval at the expense of a little bit of distance. But with the Overlord being so close, it really doesn't matter. The danger of that is that right now these Overlords are essentially doing the double damage per unit. And if you have enough of them, you can overwhelm the front line very quickly. I realized I needed some serious anti-air, so I brought in a melting point that deals with these larger units. And it was just in time because he just purchased armor for the Wraith, which makes my Mustang's guns shoot water when it hits the Wraith. Right now, I would say the board, I will favor his side of the board over mine, simply because he has a significant power spike with the 2 additional Overlords. As long as he can keep them alive long enough, I think he will be able to deal with my fortresses with ease. And on my side, I think the only thing that's really going for me is I got the crawlers that's on the far end, and I have even more crawlers that's coming in here. One of these is going to get missiled. I'm hoping this one, so that because it's a larger spread. So once it gets missiled, the rest of the crawler will still emerge and it will still overwhelm these fangs. Let's look at the front line, right? As you can see, like here right now at a third of the speed, you can tell just how insane these overlords are. Like the amount of damage they do. And my level 2 wraith is already dead. One of my fortress is already dead. The other one is just not being targeted yet. My melting point is still trying to find a large target because of all the fans and chaff up front. This fortress is starting to take damage, and that's one volley. And I do it at here, and that's 2 volley, and that's a dead fortress. Unfortunately, the saving grace for me was the replicate fans and of course the tower debuff on this side, and that allows my melting points to lock onto these overlords. But it is getting a little tricky for my side, because one thing I know he'll want to do is he'll just continue to add on these overlords because they're so effective at dishing out damage up front. I got some typhoons to take care of the chaff problem. I know that I have to win the chaff war and draw attention from these overlords if I were to win. I've also doubled down on my melting points, knowing that he has limited range, so if I spread them out a little bit, I should be able to get them before they fly over. My opponent added 2 Vulcans, and that's a definitive answer to these crawlers over here. And he also added the artillery cannon. So that is like these overlords, they deal, I mean, don't be fooled by the damage over here, right? They deal twice as fast of the damage here, plus every 3 seconds they deal 11,000 damage to a single ground target, which right now I do have a lot of large units. So I have to win the chaff war. I have to distract him with these smaller units, otherwise I am at world of hurt. Alright, I chose the Typhoons just to help me clear out these fans up front so that my units can engage with his units. I'm hoping my melting points will lock onto the Overlords sooner. And looking at life here, right, at 1204, I really just need one good win and I will be able to take the game. So I did decide to push. I did get temporal range. I upgraded both my health and my armor, because I just wanted to end the game right here and right now, because later on he's going to go with like an entire row of overlords, and that is going to be very difficult for me to handle. Okay, the Vulcans got fire. Oh, he actually moved the Vulcan away from the edge, so now these crawlers are continuing to be a bit of a pest here. My melting point actually got a chance to lock on, which is excellent, and that leaves only this guy here shooting at crawlers. So this actually worked out for me because my melting point was able to log on and was able to kill him in a fairly good manner. If I get to keep 3 of my melting points, I might be able to maybe end the game, but unfortunately the artillery cannon was just too strong and he got my other melting point. And he's going to get this one as well, because as he gets closer to range, one volley is going to bring this one down. There it is. Okay. Still very close, right? One more round, one more good round, and I will be able to end the game right now. Photon coding, Elite Phoenix. Elite Phoenix might be interesting. He has so many overlords. Elite Phoenix, even from not too far away, should be able to clear that out. I have already invested into melting point, so I didn't want to do another unit that kind of fits the same purpose. I'm going to try to make my melting point work. He added the underground threat. I was aware of the possibility of underground threat, but at the same time, I was also very preoccupied at the front. He ended up doing it defensively. I added a shield just to tank at least one volley from these overlords. Because without the shield, the first volley is going to kill a typhoon. But with the shield, the typhoon will live, so it will cost them an extra shot. He continued to add overlords. And this is the part where it starts to get real scary, because the more he adds, the more consistent damage he'll have at the front line. As long as he can keep enough chaff up the front, there should be no problem of destroying my front line here. He started to upgrade these overlords, making them that much more strong. Okay. And he is pushing with temporary range, with speed. He wants to have a huge win. So if he does take a win with all the giants intact, he has, what, 7 giants? That's 3,200 hit point. That's a huge chunk of hit point if he manages to keep the giants intact. Yeah, these are really strong. They don't even have to move in order to start firing. Like these, they can just stay where they are and start firing right away at the shield. So it's a fantastic position for him. Alright, my melting point are starting to work on the units. Unfortunately, there are additional chaff coming in from the side, and that is preventing my melting point from doing what it's supposed to do. And there's still chaff at the front as well, so that was not taken care of. So this game is actually turning on his head real fast. I think I should be able to bring that. Yeah, the Vulcan is dead, but he still has 3 giants left. So this is starting to get a little ugly, because yes, he is 1 round away from losing the game. However, he's reaching the position that he really wants to be in, right? A row of supercharged overlords with a wall of chaff with capable chaff clear. So this is actually a fantastic setup that he has. And if I were to guess what he's going to do next, I'm going to guess he's going to do more of the same, just extending to the side. Okay. I took the Sabertooth because I just wanted some quick cash. I wanted to sell the Sabertooth so that I can get some war factories of my own. War factories are here mostly just for missile interceptor. I want to mitigate some of the damage that's coming out from these overlords so that my units will have a chance to fight back. Another good idea might be to just add a few more fortresses and also a few more melting points. These two are working in tandem. One is tanking, the other one is kind of hitting the units. Mustangs, right now I'm slightly worried about the chaff clear, because last game I wasn't able to clear all the chaff, so as a result of that, wasted time for my melting point to shoot at things that aren't overlords. So as you can see, he continued to expand the line, another Vulcan, another overlord just on the side here, and added even more chaff. So this is becoming real scary because I am losing the advantage that I've had on this side with these crawlers. I am not... He is out damaging me for sure. Yes, I will have missile interceptor, which means I will deflect the first few volleys. But at the end of the day, if he wants, he should be able to take me fairly convincingly. And he also has levels on these boats. This one is level 3, and then we got 2 level 2. So it's a huge set of units. But all I need to do is to win slightly. As long as I keep a giant alive, plus a bit of chaff, I should be able to win this game. Alright. War Factory doing his job, deflecting the missiles. And also helping out with a bit of chaff clear. Unfortunately, the artillery cannon was just very strong. Yeah, even the War Factory is not strong enough to withstand all the ongoing barrage here. War Factory did save this melting point though. As you can see, there were missiles coming over to him and didn't land because of the War Factory. Yep, got that one. The artillery cannon is too strong. It's unable to, like, there's nothing we can deflect artillery cannon with. So this round goes to him. Okay. So we're in kind of a dangerous territory because if we don't end this game soon, he will just continue to push with these units, and that is going to get out of control. Right? For me, I need 3 units to beat his composition. I need some sort of anti-missile, I need a damage dealer, and I need some type of tank. And they're all pretty expensive. He went with photon emission, just adding even more tankiness to his unit, so he's now able to survive twice as long initially. He's also getting oil. He's hoping to oil me right here so that the Vulcans will set things on fire. And he's doing this because he knew that the first few volleys from these Overlords will likely disable my shield. So once it gets on to these units, he is going to just light up this whole area. That's going to kill my crawlers, my Mustangs, my chaff clear. So overall, it's a not the best look if he gets that. So what can I do? Well, on my side, it's the same mode. I'm going to be focusing on chaff clear. Last game, I had some issues with my melting point walking into the distance of the artillery cannon. So this time I'm going to get range. In case there are any boats left, these melting points are going to shoot them from afar. I put my underground threat up front to draw fire from mostly these Vulcans. I added a bunch of missiles just to trying to get things away. Alright. Added even more shield, knowing that he might come sneaking down here. Added an extra missile, because sometimes they could put a crawler and a set of phoenix here, and the missile is only going to get the crawler, and the phoenix will be able to hit the tower. So I really didn't want any surprises. I was ready for this round to be the last round. So let's watch this in slow motion a little bit so you can see just how quickly my side is dying and how slowly his side is dying. Right now, I think I was able to clear out a big chunk of his chaff. I think my melting point, they are engaging with the right unit, so this one is already locked onto a boat, which is excellent. These tanks are being locked on and they're not dying fast enough. My chaff here on the side is coming in strong. I don't really have any chaff on this side, which means my left hand side is going to fall fairly quickly. These chaff are being murdered by the Vulcan, which is not good. But the flip side of this is soon, once the chaff clear, and it's my turn to deal some damage. Okay, and this should be the last tank that's stopping me from targeting these 3 giants. This one is already on a boat. This one is on a Vulcan. Once the Vulcan is done, we're going to try switch it over to this one. Hopefully the tanks will be taken care of by the fortress. Not fortress, the war factory. Alright, my left hand side is completely fallen. My right side is going strong. Let's speed it up a little bit. Yeah, my right side is going strong. This one isn't doing anything to me. It is going to get the tower, but that's okay, because his, a single boat is just not going to let any missiles out under the war factory. Good thing for me that I got range, so that now I can snipe these from very far away. Yes, once it gets in the range, it still can kill me with 1 volley, but for now, he is quite far away. And at this point, I think I got the game because he's only got one bolt left, which means no matter how hard he tries, aside from the artillery cannon, those missiles simply aren't going to land. So as long as I kill him, the Vulcan is not going to be a problem. And because I have 2 giant units left, that should be enough to take him out of the game. And that's GG. This is game number 5 of the weekend tournament. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you at the next one.